Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with composers' most embarrassing works. Not to say they're worst, but just hidden treasures. And sometimes those treasures are just hidden for a reason. You know what I mean? Well, let me explain to you what I mean. One of the things that in my collecting obsession that I have is like scores, thousands of scores, lots and lots and lots of scores, boxes of scores. And originally I had them as part of, well, I had a lot of them already because I was interested, of course, in following music and understanding why it was making the noises it was making. But then when I started doing actual like musicological quote unquote research into things like vibrato and notation and stuff like that, I started getting more stuff. And one of the things I was able to get my hands on was the complete Richard Strauss edition in hardcover, this wonderful collection of things, or just about complete anyway. It's all the orchestral stuff and all the operas. I don't think I have the chamber works, and I don't think I care. But I have these things, and this is volume 25 of the orchestral works. And every so often, you're just going through it, and you're coming across all this stuff. I mean, a composer like Richard Strauss, he wrote a lot of music, and he wrote enormously popular tone poems, and he wrote some enormously popular operas, and then a whole heap of stuff that nobody cares about. And the only way you have an opportunity to really encounter it is in score, if you don't have every recording that ever existed, or you don't even know what to look for to know that it's on a recording. So volume 25 has some fascinating things in it, and I was looking through it. It has the dance suite from piano pieces by Couperin, which became part of his late ballet, Verklugene Feste, whatever that thing was. And then you've got his waltz, München. It's a Munich waltz in two versions, one from 1939 and one from 1945, with the war in the middle. Interesting to compare. And then there's the Divertimento from piano pieces by Couperin, another Couperin thing. That's delicious, by the way. It's wonderful little arrangements, and it's lots of fun. But then here in the middle was this thing called Japanische Festmusik from 1940. Japanese festival music. And I thought to myself, what the hell is that? What did Strauss do? Why did he write it? What is it? What is he doing? I mean, I need to know. It's on page 91. So I turned to page 91, and here is the Japanische Festmusik, and it's written for this juicy orchestra. So it was composed in celebration of the 2600th anniversary of the Japanese Empire for large orchestra. And we do mean large. It is written for, are you ready? 3 flutes, piccolo, 2 oboes, English horn, 4 clarinets, bass clarinet, 3 bassoons, contrabassoon, 8 horns, 7 trumpets, 8 trombones, 2 tubas, timpani, bass drum, cymbals, tam-tam, 14 tuned gongs, glockenspiel, triangles, snare drum, tambourine, celesta, organ, 2 harps, and strings. And I thought to myself, oh my, I got to hear that. I really do. I mean, I'm looking at it and I see all this craziness. The gongs are whacking and the organ's slamming and the brass are going nuts. It's in actually 5 sections. And those sections include, let's see, Seascape. The opening is a seascape. And then there's the Cherry Blossom Festival. And then there's a volcanic eruption. It's not Hekla by Leifs. I mean, let's face it, what could be? But it's a volcanic eruption. It's got a tam-tam. And then the attack of the samurai. And finally, the Emperor's Hymn, the closing hymn. I mean, ooh, juicy. Now, I knew something about the occasion for which it was written. It was written, the 2600th anniversary in 1940. It was written, first of all, because Japan wanted to get some music to celebrate itself from Western composers. And so it was the big work that caused the furor was Britain's Sinfonia da Requiem, which was rejected by the Japanese foreign ministry because they found it insulting because it was based on a Christian theme and it was about a requiem. So there you go. But they also commissioned pieces by Ibert and Pizzetti, and they didn't do an American one because Japan and America weren't getting along so well then, and things were about to get much, much worse in 1940. And this German thing was suppressed, I think, for obvious reasons. I mean, it was, Goebbels selected Strauss to write the thing. And Japan was an ally of Hitler. And Strauss, of course, took the commission. He was working on Die Liebe der Danae, I believe, at the time. And he put that aside for about 15 minutes and wrote this piece. It lasts about 15 minutes, actually 14 minutes and 1 second, and the only recording that exists. And obviously, neither the German Strauss people, or the Strauss family, or Strauss, nor the Japanese were interested in celebrating that particular moment in their history. So the work was rather ruthlessly suppressed, and there is indeed only one recording. It's this one by Strauss himself from 1940, around the time of the premiere, and it's terrible. I mean, Strauss conducts with his usual diffidence, maybe more than his usual diffidence, because he really didn't care about this thing. And also, it's 1940 sonics for a piece of that opulence. You see, I don't care if the music is good or bad. I just want to hear it, and I want to hear it recorded fabulously, because Strauss was the king of opulent, over-the-top orchestration. And so anything he did that does that is okay by me. I mean, it's just another opportunity to hear some ridiculous piece of schlock by one of the schlockmeisters in the history of music, of course. So, I thought it would be like the Alpine Symphony goes to Japan, Mount Kilimanjaro Symphony, not Kilimanjaro, Fuji, the one in Japan, whatever. Yes, Kilimanjaro is in Africa. I'm sorry, I got that mixed up. So anyway, there is no other recording of it. It's that simple. Nobody wants to touch it. I think it's kind of interesting. There are certain pieces that nobody wants to touch for political reasons. When I was working in the Supraphon archive in Prague and saw that they had Schulhoff's Communist Manifesto oratorio, I wanted them to release it. They were like, no, we can't do that. The Berlin Wall had just come down, and there was no way that was going to happen in the political climate at the time. Now they've actually included a recording of it in their Antral box, so you can get it. But this thing, this is not constrained by that particular political circumstance. It just has the old political circumstance of Nazis and Nazi allies and Goebbels and those people, and Strauss, who was himself tainted by his association by the Nazi regime, and this magnificent opus. Is it his most embarrassing piece? Is it his worst piece? Well, Norman Del Mar, in his book on Strauss, says it's Strauss's weakest piece ever. I don't know. You have to be able to hear it. You have to be able to hear it in a marvelous performance to make up your mind. You can't tell from the score. It looks marvelous. I don't know how you look at any of these unbelievably glitzy orchestrations by Strauss and say, oh, it's terrible. I mean, how would you know? Just from the score, by playing it on the piano or whatever you do. It doesn't count. I mean, who are we kidding? But there are, with many composers, works that have been quietly or not so quietly sort of shoved under the rug. And this is definitely one of them. And I, for one, just want to hear it just once, just marvelously done. And there's no reason they can't tuck it in. I mean, why didn't Chandos and Nimi Yarvi do it when they were doing, all those opulent Strauss tone poem recordings with the, Scottish National Orchestra? That would have been just fabulous. And they did all kinds of unusual Strauss. And Boosey and Hawkes has the music. I mean, Boosey and Hawkes, English people, have the music. There's no reason it cannot be rented out and performed. But it doesn't get performed. So I just want to tell you that the thing exists. You could hear a crappy, dim recording of it by Strauss himself. And in the meantime, you can have a look at page 91 of the collected orchestral works, and just sort of take a look at these yummy pages full of noise and chaos and harps and glockenspiels and endless lines of music that make no sense to me whatsoever, absent an actual performance of it. Oh, look, Tam Tam, crash, fortissimo, I'm already in love. So there you go, friends. Keep on listening, and wait, someday we will indeed get the Strauss Japanische Festmusik in all of its glitzy trashiness. I have no doubt. Take care.